All right, friends, and we are back. So it's been about almost half an hour of our dough resting. You see how it's glistening? That means that the moisture that was locked in to our add-ins is slowly starting to sweat out, along with all that delicious flavor. Yes! All right, so now what we're going to do is give it a quick fold to show you how it's going to come together, because as of right now you can see it's not super smooth versus the dough without inclusions. Look at that, that's beautifully smooth. So that's what we want with our dough here. So quick fold also helps us to feel how wet it is, how dry it is, the air that's inside the dough. Does it feel dense? Look at that stretch. How it's acting, how it's not acting, right? When I pull on it, does it pull back? Is it super elastic or is it not? All this is feedback for you, the baker. Look at that. So you see how that last fold smoothed everything out? Let's see if we can get a close up here. Ta-da! And instead of folding it again, which I could, but at this point I feel that the dough is pretty much done. Because if I fold it again, it's just going to kind of slowly unravel. And I don't want to stress the dough out like that, but I do see it jiggle. You see that? When I tweak it, it kind of turns back. That's what you want. That's a sign of properly kneaded dough when it responds like that. All right, so we're going to help that along and just turn it lengthwise so that the next time I do my stretch and fold, I have this long piece of dough to work with versus this short, compact piece of dough. And that way it also helps to relax the dough in a longer, more spacious area versus, again, having just this small little section for it to expand. All right, so you see that? That's what we're looking for. Look at that. Yeah. Let's take a quick close-up look here. You see how the dough kind of shakes and wobbles? And it's definitely smoothed out. Look at that. That's what you want to see after your first fold. Look at that. All our add-ins are nicely nestled. Look at that. And that's just going to make awesome bread, folks. And that's ultimately what we're looking for. I'm going to give this dough another 2-fold session, so in total 3, because it's really just going to smooth out lovely for us, just like the one without inclusions. And really, if you were going to do a no knead or limited knead type bake, I would at least do the 1-fold, because you saw how much smoother and how much more it came together, and that's just going to give you a better overall texture. So regardless of how you do it, just keep in mind the 2 principles that we covered today, which is, how are my add-ins going to affect the texture and my sourdough starter? Because, again, wetter ingredients will promote faster fermentation, drier, slower fermentation, but also the wetter it is, the more soupier your texture can get, especially with fruits and vegetables that slowly seep out the moisture that they have already, or in this case, the moisture that they have absorbed because I soaked all of my raisins and nuts before we used them. If you didn't do that and you were just adding dry ingredients such as cranberries, dried cranberries or dried raisins, dried blueberries, things of that nature, then keep in mind that that's going to absorb a little bit of the moisture. And so I would add those items in first, keep the dry dry, keep the wet wet, and regardless of, make sure you knead the dough correctly, because that's where you get a make or break situation in how your dough ferments and how it rises and ultimately how it tastes. If you got any further questions, comments, please leave them below, and I appreciate you and your support. Have a wonderful day.